Hey, I'm Scotty and thanks for joining me. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to sketch the face in 4 steps. These steps are for loose, impressionistic and quick sketching. So step number 1, outlining the head. So whether it's the front view, the 3/4 view or the side view, we always start with outlining the silhouette of the head. And whether it's small, medium or large, we always start with outlining the head. Step number 2, we divide that big main shape, that big silhouette, into smaller shapes. So we're going for the face and the hair. We divide the big shape into 2. And that will help us with the next step. Step number 3, we want to add the facial features. So I'll show you how to do that with my dot method and the proportions. The final step, step number 4, is to add the details. And this step really helps with adding likeness to your sketch. So that's the 4 steps. We have outline, divide, facial features and details. And on Patreon, for my Patreon members, we're going to go in depth on each of those steps and I'll walk you through all the theory. So if you're just starting out, you might find that helpful. You can head over to my Patreon website and check the full tutorial out there. But now we're going to go straight on to the exercises. And there are 2 parts. We have the first exercise, which is sketching these 3 faces right here, just using ink. So I don't want to get caught up in doing the watercolor just yet in our first exercises. We're practicing the 4 steps and putting in the simple line work first. And the last exercise will be sketching this portrait, and we're making that a larger portrait where we'll put in a bit more detail and we'll add in some watercolor. So the first of the 3 ink sketches that we're going to do is this front view here. So the first step is to do the outline first, and we'll have a look at the ratios. So I'm comparing the height to the width. So if I look at the width here and I compare it to the height, about 2 widths can fit in the height. So that means even though the image on my screen is quite big, I can make it any size on the page. I just need to set the height. So I'm going to make my height about this big. Very faint dot in the middle, and you can see that that is half the height. And you can turn that, so you can put that there and put my fingers, and I can add the 2 dots there. Now we want to do the outline using those dots as reference. So we're going to do each quarter going around, each quadrant, and we're going to have the hair stopping at that point, and then we go all this way with all the curls. So we outline the curls here, just lots of little bumps, point where the hair stops, and then it comes back in. So I'm just going to add both of those in, add a third down, and let's just put that shape in. So he has quite a large chin, quite wide for a male. It goes straighter down and then has an angle. Down on each side. That you can leave little gaps as well. Okay, really happy with the outline. Now we'll go on to the second step, which is dividing the head shape into the face and the hair. It's a little bit lower than the halfway, so about there. Let's do your best, you come in a bit on each side and then across. And then we've got some curls coming down. So we have the outline, now we've divided the face. So that's step number 3, we're going to add in the facial features. So between the hairline, which is a little bit up from there probably, and the chin, we've got to divide this into 3. 1, 2, and now we'll have 3 equal spots. If we have 1, 2, that should be 1, 2, 3. But we want 2 dots for that gap between the eyebrows. And then a third down, we've got 2 dots for the gap between the eyebrows, and then 2 dots for the width of the nose. Now let's draw the eyebrows and the nose. This guy has very thick eyebrows, so usually they taper off more to a point, but his is quite thick. And then the bottom of the nose. To do that, we've got to do the 2 lines for the width of the nose first. Down and then back in, down and then back in, like that. So that's the width of the nose. We do the nostrils, and we don't draw the circle for the nostril, we just draw that top edge, up and then down. 2 lines like that. Now the eyes. So with the eyes, we go from the bottom of the nose towards the eyebrows, we go up 2/3. 1, 2. So there, and then 1, 2, that should be the other corner. Make sure they're in line. But the width of an eye is just that same width as between the eyes. So we go this distance, we go across. And this one, across. So with the eyes, we just start with a simple line. The main line is that top eyelid. Like this, you go up just a bit closer there, and then down, and down that way. So now you should have two of the eyelids. I'm going to outline the iris. Just in there, and in there, making them the same size. Now we're going to skip all the details for now. We're going to just do these main outlines. Let's do the mouth. Between the chin and the nose, we got 2/3. 1, 2. And then go across. So from the eye, if I come straight down, that's about where the corners of the mouth are. Now right in the middle, I'll draw a little V shape. Go out to the side, so out like that, sort of comes down. Then I don't outline the whole lips, just that bottom shadow. So just the bottom shadow and just leave a gap. Now we've got the basic lines. Let's add some of the details to bring more likeness. And we're not doing every curl, just a few. And ears I use about 3 lines to do those. So there's a little one there, and then a big one. There's always pretty much 2 there, and then 1 right around the outside like that. Now some more details. We'll of course add the little pupil, a little bit of the bottom eyelid there, like that, of the eyeball shape there. And then here there's a line for the bridge of the nose. I like to add just a few details on the nose, like the bridge, and then showing this shape. So if you add a line in the corners here, that can show that shape, or 2 little dots. So I don't outline the beard, I just draw dashes showing the direction, shape, and then there's this shape here, so I'm just going to dash around this way. You can add a few just to show direction as well within that shape. Then when you look back on your sketch, you can make a little adjustments. Maybe your ears are too low or too high. Make sure your ears are at the bottom of the nose and the eyebrows. That's where they should sit between. So I'm just going to do that by eye. I'm just trying to get that inside shape. So if I get this collar, neck shape, and just keep building them down. Rough line there. I'm happy with that. So that is our first front view. It's a medium-sized sketch. That's how I'd approach a medium or large. So our next 2 ink sketches are going to be a little bit smaller than the last ones. And we'll start off with the 3/4 view. So when I compare the ratios on this reference here, you're looking at the width and comparing to the height. The height is slightly bigger, slightly longer than the width. So that means if I put my 2 dots down, I'm going to make this sketch small. So I'm just going to put the... So if I measure that width there and go across like this, I'm just going to transfer that over. Now I can put the height a little bit higher on each side. So I have the basic ratio. Now let's once again go around the outline. It's very simple here. So going up the forehead and then across here and then down like that. Roughly in, out for the cheek, and then down to the chin there. We're going up this way somewhere, so we've got that shape. Now let's add the hairline so we can get this face shape. Then I compare it down. Seem about 1/3 of that distance. So if I look at that distance and I put a dot here, I'm going to start in the corner here where the forehead changes direction, and then put the hairline down to keep going down. Once again, I'm just going to have a rough guess where it goes, and the hair goes down there somewhere. Now we have the face shape. Divide this into 3 sections using those 2 dots. So first of all, we go down about 1/3, and you can put 2 dots for the width, and we come down another 1/3. So we should have 4 dots in the middle of this face shape to help do the facial features. And this time we're going to do them in a simplified way. We're just going to add a line here, thicker line there, and then a line here. That's just the line for the brow. But what we can do is we can just come down from the eyebrow and then draw that top line and then draw the top of this eyelid. Just draw a little black dot and make it bigger and bigger until you feel like it's the right size. And now we can go to the nose. We're going to make it in one line. See how it points out and then little bumps for the nostrils and then in. 2/3 still between the chin and the nose. 1, 2 is in line with the nose this time. So I'm looking at the features. On this side it comes out quite far as the middle of the eye. Join the dots up. And I can just put a little line underneath though for the lip underneath. Ear should be between the eyebrow and the bottom of the nose. Just check that, and you can add in some details in the ear. 1, 2, 3. I think I'll go into the glasses though and put 2 dots just in between the eyes. And then from out there, see how far it goes, right to the edge of this eye. And then at that same distance it'll come out this way. And now let's draw the bridge of the glasses, just a single line like that. A curved square around the shape here like that. There, above the ear. So there's the neck shape, which I'm just doing by eye. Just draw the neck shape there. Draw that thickness. And then a little hint of the shoulder. And now the rest of the hair, which we didn't get to before. We can also add a bit of direction for the hair, just a few lines like that. Show there's a split there. And that is a very simple sketch of this person in 3/4 view. So we're going to go on to the side view, and I'm going to make this sketch sort of in between the other two, not too big, not too small, so we've got enough space to work out those details. We have to get the ratio first, and I can compare the height to the width, and the height is slightly longer than the width because of the hair coming up. So that's on our page, put 2 dots for the width here, and I'll put a dot in the middle, and because the height is a bit longer than the width, we can grab that width length there, go up, and then add a bit more, and that same distance should go down here. Now let's start outlining, and we've got the top of the head in line with this one, and we're just coming around like a circle, coming around, showing a bit of kinks for the hair. The chin is in line with this bottom dot and comes out as far as this side dot. So I'm going to put a dot here. So we want to find the hairline and the chin. That's where about the hairline is, and that's where the chin is. We want to divide this into 3 equal lengths. So we have 1, 2, and 3. So now we have between the hairline, about there, and the chin, and now we have some points where we can outline those features of the face. And we come into that dot. I sometimes find it helpful to put a little dot where I think the nose should come out to. In there, now let's come out like that. Now we do the mouth here in this bottom section. So about 2/3 up, about there, put a dot there. That's where the split between the lips are. So we go out and then in. So we've got those 2 shapes there. So we come out and around like that. I'm just going to continue that around now that I can see the face a bit easier. And I've got that main shape of the head. Now we want to split the face shape up with the hair. And if you measure the distance of the hair to the face, it's about halfway. So we put a dot, we have a dot there, and that's roughly where that hair goes. So let's go across like this first. And then around the ear in this back quadrant, we've got the ear, brow, and the bottom of the nose. So you can put 2 dots if that will help. Back ear, down to there. Now we can do the facial features. So we'll do the eyebrow here. Then we can do the nose. So we'll come out a little bit from the side and do the side of the nose like that. Just the nostril like that. So the eye, just a little bit tilted back there. And remember it's 2/3 up from the bottom of the nose to the eyebrow. So 1, 2, and then there's a triangle. So from there we go up, we do a little triangle. See that? Dot at the front, little dark spot. Now with the mouth, we tilt the mouth down just in line with the middle of the eye. Now we can do detail with the ear. So we do those 3 lines. So 1 little line there, and then a bigger one there, and then the biggest one at the back. And then some details. So we've got the hair, we want to show it coming around the front, and then swooshing this way, big long strands. Then we have the facial hair. So we don't outline that, we just draw little dashes. And there's a lot more here, so you can add a few more dashes and then come around the bottom of the jaw and the neck. I'm going to do the rest of the shapes, the neck. So as you can see, it comes down a bit here and then it comes up. So that's that neck shape. So that's the collar. Back up to that point, comes down here, and that's that collar. You can add in the, kind of goes down and across. So that's how I do a side view. So there are 3 ink sketches of the 3 different views, slightly different sizes. The bigger sketch, the smaller simple sketch, and the sort of halfway sketch here, the medium-sized sketch. It's really good practice for those 3 steps of the different views. But now we're going to go into our final detailed sketch with watercolor. So come to our last reference, and once again I have to find the outline and the ratio between height and width. But first I'll do the height between the chin and the top, measure that, and then turn my fingers, and it's 1 to 1. But I'll put my width, because I got a narrow page, put it here and here, and then I'll put a dot in the middle, And because we know that that half is the same going down, we can use our fingers here and lock them and move there. And that should be the same up here. So making it really loose. I'm holding my pen loosely, making lots of kinks around the hair. The more expressive, the better, really. Now the hair stops about where the chin is. So the chin is in line with this dot just on the side here. So I put a little line here just saying that's where the chin is there. So I'm going to come out past this way, and you can exaggerate this a little bit, make it more expressive. Coming there, there's a big loop here, and just more expressive lines. Now when I find the face shape, visually, the width of the face to the hair. So I can see it's about there. If I look between the side and here, about 1/3 in here, put a dot. And if I'm looking on this side, I'm going about halfway and then a little bit to the left. We want to find the hairline where that fringe is. Middle here, this in line with these dots, and the top, if you go to halfway, but that dot looks a little bit less than halfway, so a little bit lower. I'm going around where that dot is, roughly, and to that point. So we go, make that a bit of a curve, and then it flattens out a little bit and goes into the chin. Stop there, turn, and then up like that. And now we have that shape within the hair shape. Just quickly, this is a little bit more impressionistic. Shoulder, and then down. Come from where you think the hairline is, down 1/3, and then we put 2 dots for that gap between the eyebrows there. Now they go down to the bottom of the nose. We go halfway between this point and this point. Halfway there, there and there. You can see in the middle, and they go out to a point on the side. Like that. We do like we had before. We have the sides of the nose first. Little angled line. Like that. And then this way. But it's a little bit narrower there. But this one a bit longer. So it comes over. So the middle of the nose is over to the left there. So coming out like that. Okay, the eyes. Now, a very important part is to get those corners of the eyes right. But we still go up 2/3 between the bottom of the nose and the eyebrows. So 1, 2. I'm slightly to the right for both of them. Then each eye is that same width across. So one there, one there. And that's okay, that is shorter because that's the foreshortening going around the side of the head. So we go up and then down. They have a nice curve to them. I'm going to just do the bottom eyelid this time. Now we can put in the iris in that shape, and it's taking up about half the eye. So put a dot right in the middle of the eye, both eyes. Like that. The pupil, and it's looking a little bit to the right, so make sure it's off to the right a little bit. So between the chin and the nose, we go up 2/3 again. Comes closer to the nose. Like that, it's directly by the middle. Then we make sure we have a nice thick lip at the bottom. Now it's up to the details part, and then the hair. We will go back to the face in a little bit. Let's put in some waves for the hair. You draw one wavy line down like that, and then you try and crisscross back over the top of it like that. So I'm going to make that a little bit longer there. And also on this side. Now there's that shadow under the eye too, so we're going to add a line here, little dash here. We'll make that top eyelid a little bit thicker, so there and there. Now we've got to add some eyelashes there. So that's all the line work. Now we're going to get onto some watercolor. So I have my round 10 brush, my watercolors, my water, and my paper towel. So with a light skin tone like this, we're going to use burnt sienna. I would add quite a bit of water to this until we have a weak tea consistency. Go around on this side, bring it across. If there's a highlight, you could leave a highlight on the nose, like just leave a little gap. Across there, down. And I've got a hairdryer here today, just to speed up the process. I'm going to dry these layers now. Okay, now that's dry, we can add the hair color. We're just doing the base light layers first. So we'll start with a color called yellow ochre. And now, so we start around here. You can see there's lots of that yellow around there. So a little bit of burnt umber. Perhaps even some more burnt sienna to have that reddy kind of brown. And then we spread that down from there. So you can touch the other colors. See, there's a bit darker there, so I'm adding more brown up there. Also around here, going to the fringe. So we can use Payne's Grey, going around the hair so we don't touch it. Expressionistic stroke. I'm going to add cerulean blue, just give an impression. This is a scarf. Now that's actually all of the basic layer of watercolor. I'm going to use my hairdryer again on that. Now the hair needs a darker layer, so let's add Payne's Grey to where I had the hair before. So we can see here it's a bit dark behind the ear, near the ear, and in here. This side has a lot more darkness to it. And here, see there's darker up there, darker hair that goes across. So using that same color, that's the darkest color, the darkest brown. And we can also add the yellow ochre back for a second layer just in the highlight areas. So we can just put those back there and those lighter colors that we did before. There and there. Just a stroke in this lighter color like that. Permanent rose on the cheekbone there. Also on the end of the nose. The eyes on the top and the bottom. The lips are often a little bit more rosy, so I'm going to add in some more permanent rose. And with the lips, don't try and do the whole lips right to the corners. Sometimes it looks a little bit too much. So just stick in the middle. Purple Lake. So that could be made by ultramarine and rose, permanent rose. Now we don't need to do every single shadow. We just got to hint at the areas that have the most. A shadowy stroke through there. So I'm just going to put a stroke around the back of the light would be stopped from going on the clothing. So usually the sun is blocked from hitting that area, so that's a bit of shadow just under the nose, and then a bit under this lip. See this shadow there actually? The last step to a portrait is to add some highlights. Sometimes I put highlights just on the lip here, because there's reflections off there. In the hair there might be some little glints of light, especially around this middle bit. Just in that top left corner of the eye there's a little highlight, so I can just dab there. So that is how I sketch a face with my simple ink sketching technique. It's very loose and impressionistic and fast. We've got ways of doing smaller faces with smaller details, right up to a large detail face with a nice watercolor. But if you want the full tutorial, it actually has a lot more theory. We go through all the steps and I give you a bit more information with templates and examples. Then that's over on my Patreon membership. We've got the full tutorial plus other fundamental tutorials for beginners, so it really helps you. And then once you've done these fundamentals, I have a library of tutorial projects for portraits and other similar projects, which you can use this information to do those as well. And then when you finish these sketches, you can take a photo or scan, put it onto the community. We've got a really warm and friendly community. You can share your work and you can also ask me any question. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.